All right, welcome back, listeners, to this week's episode of the Anchor Leg Podcast. I'm your host, Griffin Gushman, joined by a special guest, Christian Lanuza from Carnegie Mellon, as well as my co-host,
Jaden Wyatt.
Peter Mag.
Josh Hernandez.
So, Christian, if you want to introduce yourself to our listeners and, tell us how your meet went this weekend, how your season outlook is looking, we'd love to hear about it.
Sure thing. Thank you guys so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here. I love the work that you guys do, and I look forward to listening to your podcast every week. My name is Christian Lanuza. I'm a junior at Carnegie Mellon. I swim breaststroke and IM. And last week we had a meet with you guys at Case, and it was a wonderful time. My team, we were really looking forward to racing you guys. We thought the atmosphere was electric, and we had a lot of fun. Honestly, I think you guys had a meal, and his backstroke was insanely fast. Did not expect him to lead off the 4 medley with that. And I saw Peter up on the block next to me. The crowd was cheering his name, and I was thinking, oh no, what's going to happen? Because I think 2 years ago at Case, you lapped me in the 500. It was quite a spectacle.
I don't think I could have pulled that feat off, but
Everyone else
sure.
Everyone on this call has been there as well, Christian. Good company.
Yeah, but I had to come back and show you guys that, hey, I'm not going to forget about that. So had a little bit of a grudge or a little bit of a personal stake in this meet. So I think that also helped me perform a bit better. But the competition was really fierce, and everyone was going and getting up and cheering. It was like you were saying last week. It was one of the most competitive meets of the year. I think it's one of the most competitive meets for us as well. And we always look forward to racing you guys each year.
Yeah, I mean, first, obviously, congratulations on your performance. I mean, I know this was 3 years in the making for you. As I recall, it was obviously a 8th place finish in the 500 at this meet 2 years ago. When you said Peter may or may not have been finishing about a 50 before you. Can't comment on where I was during that race. I think I just swam the 200 that year. So then obviously last year did both breaststrokes. Correct me if I'm wrong, you were 6th in the 200 last year. And then this year coming back obviously and posting wins in both and 2 of the top times in the country has to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it feels wonderful. Just a lot of credit to the training that Coach Kinney has given us, and a testament to the people that are pushing me in practice, and a testament to you guys who are always pushing me in the pool. So thanks to you, the people I train with, and my coaches for helping me get this far. Looking forward to seeing you guys at Kenyon in a few weeks. There will be rested, so I look forward to putting on a performance with you and seeing Ethan as well, and it'll be a really good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I speak for all of us when we say we're looking forward, 1, to competing ourselves at midseason, and 2, seeing how we stack up against you guys a second time in a shaved, tapered, suited up environment. So I expect it'll be similar energy level to this weekend. So really looking forward to it.
Us too.
Yeah, I was gonna just go and hop off what you said about the training you've been doing with at CMU, and I was just gonna say the CMU breaststroke is looking really, really strong this year. You got anything to say about that?
Yeah, our breaststroke is led by myself, Max Kolbita, and we have a lot of freshmen this year. So Aaron Lee, Thomas Zhao, Andy Liu are just some of the names that you'll probably see more and more this year. They're very quick. And we're looking forward to bolstering our breaststroke prowess in and out of the pool. It's a good training group, and they push me in the pool, and I try to do my best to push them in the pool as well. As for our breaststroke training, we're doing stroke work almost every day, anything from 50s to hundreds of fast swimming, and I think it's really helping us develop that power and speed that we need to be successful in and out of the water.
Yeah, I think it certainly showed this weekend.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So I think we're just going to start off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, we know you obviously have the talent to be a Division I swimmer, at least at the mid-major level. Tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to CMU going the Division III route. What kind of led you to make that decision instead of going maybe the D1 route and focusing more on your swimming?
Sure, yeah. So it started mainly junior year of high school, starting to look into the college process and starting to reach out to coaches. And I had gone through the process with about 40 schools or so. And eventually, CMU kept making its way back up to the top of my list. I called coach early in, I think, October, November of my junior year of high school. That's where we had our first interaction and gave me the rundown of what the team was like. And uh, it was a good fit, but it wasn't everything I think I was looking for at that time. I was trying to pursue a degree in economics or business, and CMU is a very STEM heavy school. So I thought I'll keep this in my back pocket and we'll go from there. Eventually, I was looking at a lot of D1 schools, a lot of the Ivy League schools, and I'm from Connecticut, so they're kind of right around the corner. So eventually, as well, COVID hit and didn't get to swim from, I guess, March to August. And I was supposed to go to sectionals that year and have a big meet. My previous meet was, or my previous shaved taper meet was this end cap meet. It was like a Tom Dolan invite, but I'd just gotten my wisdom teeth pulled out about 2 weeks before that. So I wasn't in the best of swimming shape. And that was my one shave and taper meet of the full season. So after not having a full shave and taper meet for a very long time, I come back and I see all these schools that already filled up their slots. And that August, I dropped 2 seconds in my 100 breaststroke and 4 seconds in my 200 breaststroke. And it started to make me a bit more viable of a candidate to these schools. So I was vying for those final spots. And eventually everything kind of fell into place. All the schools that said, no, sorry, we had filled up our spots, or, oh, you can have a spot for our next year's recruiting class. And I told myself, I would like to go to college this year. And so Carnegie Mellon then made its way back up. I'm talking with Coach Kinney on the phone a few more times. I end up submitting my ED1 to this school, and the rest is history. Truth is, I never actually saw Carnegie Mellon until after I had gotten that letter back saying, oh, you're in. So after I got that, I toured the school with my dad. It was more of a drive out to Pittsburgh, drove around the campus for a few minutes and then drove back. But it was a pretty good time and pretty happy I ended up here. Met a lot of cool people so far.
Yeah, I think that kind of echoes a lot of our sentiments about the recruiting process. I don't think Peter actually saw Case Western until he moved his stuff into our freshman year dorms. So right in the same boat as you. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really great that obviously you kept your options so wide open. And I think that's kind of how it shakes out for a lot of Division III athletes. A lot of us have a lot of academic focus, and sort of the chips fall as they may, and you end up at your respective university. But the fact that Carnegie Mellon made its way onto a list with a lot of the Ivy League schools certainly says a lot about the opportunities you're getting there.
Oh, for sure. I did also come in as an economics student originally, and then I transferred into statistics and machine learning. So it all worked out perfectly in the end.
Yeah, that's great. And sort of piggybacking off of like your Division III recruiting experience into one of the more unique aspects of Division III swimming, obviously. In Division I and Division II, there isn't, the same debt period as there is for Division III in the off season, where, we're not allowed to meet with our coaches, things like that. So, as a D3 swimmer, especially this year, as you've really come in great shape, how did you sort of piggyback off of your off-season work to sort of come into the fall this year, firing on all cylinders this early in the season?
Sure. Yeah. So in the off season, I told myself I wasn't going to swim as much. I wanted to put on mass and lift a lot more, kind of enjoy the off season. And so I did that, went home, and my gym, my job, and my house were all within a mile of one another. And my day would start, I'd work out and lift, and then come home, make lunch, and take my mom to work. Then I'd go to work, and then I'd come back, and it'd be a bit late to go swim. So my lifting routine was lifting 6 times a week this summer, and it was more of a chest try, back by leg split, and more of a conventional lifting, and not as much focused on swimming. I'd swim maybe once every 2 weeks, but it wasn't very often. It was kind of just to keep my feel for the water. And eventually I came back about 15 pounds heavier, and I was pulling a lot more water, and I'd seen that my lifting this summer had really transitioned or had really translated to my swimming abilities in the pool. And so right now it's just working on still getting that technique down and really feeling the water. But I needed the summer and the off season to put in the work and to build more mass so that I could come back even stronger and swim faster this year. So I think it set me up very well. And I think that um, the results we're seeing now is a result of the work that I put in this summer, as well as the work that I've put in with the team and Coach Kinney.
Yeah, no, you're certainly seeing the fruits of your labor being paid off here. If, your recent performances and any testament to that. I'm just, if let's say you had like as much time as you wanted, ideally, right, and you could devote yourself 100% to swimming this summer, would you have done the same thing, or do you try to like maybe swim a little more, or would you recommend this to anyone else? What you've done here?
I think I would have swam a bit more. I would have liked to have swum a bit more. I think maintaining my feel for the water, or being a bit more diligent about that would have been a good thing. I was actually at a SAC event with Garrett Klassen this summer, and we were talking about what we were doing in the off season, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, I love keeping my feel for the water, but I'm also pushing myself in the weight room. So I'm not swimming as much, but I am getting stronger." And he thinks that that is a very a good way to build strength. It should be a bit more slowly, but because you're still swimming, um, I do agree with that. I think that if I could do it over again, I would have swam a bit more. But that's not to say the results aren't. I'm not happy with the results that I've achieved thus far.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, you talked a little bit about your physical preparation for the season. I guess I'm curious, how do you mentally prepare for races, and how has that approach evolved throughout your swimming career?
Yeah. So mentally, I actually have this jar. It's a jar of individual, not really wins, but things that I've worked on or things that I've done in practice or in meets. And it's kind of just a note to say, hey, like you did this on this day. And, whenever you're not feeling 100%, you kind of just look at it and you say, I have accomplished so much and I am able to keep going and I am able to swim fast even when things are hurting or when you're tired. Um, but a lot of the mental preparation, a lot of it is more visualization and more um, knowing that you've done everything you can up until that point and there's nothing more you can do. So then all you can ask of yourself is to do the best you can with the opportunities that you have. So my coach likes to call it dumb swimming. It's not being concerned with the things you haven't done, but putting your mind in the here and now and letting everything else just fade away so that you can focus on swimming. And I'm trying to do that a bit more. So that and visualization are the two things that I do right up until my race.
That's super cool. I like that sort of jar idea, especially. I know a couple of us have started this new thing this season where every time we finish our morning practice, we go get breakfast and we have like a notebook and we write down everything we did and like our thoughts on the swim. And I think that's really similar, that recording that ability to go back and look at it psychologically, that makes a ton of sense. And I think that's a really cool strategy that you have that maybe our listeners can take away.
Yeah, I'd actually have it here with me. I'll grab it.
Oh,
It
whoa.
started off as a jam jar, right? One of those strawberry jam jars, and it's kind of turned into this. It's a full gallon water bottle, and inside of it is just uh let's see. There's the results from the case meet. I wrote those down.
Oh,
So.
well, you should have.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just whenever you're not feeling 100%, you take a look at one and you think to yourself, look at all that I've accomplished, and you just keep going. But I like that notebook idea too. How does that one work?
So we have just like literally like one of those like composition notebooks. And every single day we write down, date, yardage done, and then just a quick overview of the set. We started off with this, main set was this. And then at the bottom, and all credit to Griffin because we totally just all ripped this from him. But at the
Yeah.
bottom, there's you rank your feel, your performance, and then the difficulty of the set on a 1 to 10 scale. I put some metrics in there about like average heart rate, active calories from the Apple Watch and all that kind of stuff. And then, write a couple sentences talking about, how it went, what I could try a little bit harder on, and what I was happy with.
That's actually really cool. And everyone on the team has one, or just a few of you guys, or
No, they
Um,
they do it. I do not participate in
okay.
this activity.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
just a handful of us, but it's definitely something I enjoy doing every day, either after morning practice or in the afternoon when I like sit down at my desk to do homework.
Yeah, I think like Jane said, it sort of serves a twofold purpose. Obviously, one, you can go look back and, literally look at what you've been doing, maybe as some inspiration for some workouts you're writing for yourself or whatever. But for me, what it's really done is sort of anchored my focus in what I'm doing during a practice. I can literally go back and see exactly what I worked on that day, how I've been progressing throughout the season. And, if there's ever a day where I'm down on myself. I'll look at like the previous couple workouts and say, what, I've strung together, a great set of workouts here. One down day isn't going to kill me. Let's get out there and give it like the best that I've got on this day. I think that's really one of the important reasons why we write down like how we feel, before, during, and after the workout, sort of just to check yourself mentally and how you're progressing through the season. But I really love your strategy too. And I think that, always people are looking for the new cutting edge thing to do mentally. And definitely there's some value for both the people hosting this podcast to take away from each other, and definitely for any listeners out there who feel like they could hone their mental approach to swimming a little bit.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, like, I love the idea. Like, do you like put your jar like in eyesight in your room? Because I feel like if I had one of those and I was looking at it, I wake up in the morning, I look at it, even if I'm not seeing what's inside the jar, just seeing the jar itself and how full it is just has to get your day going, right?
Yes, it's actually right next to my pre-workout, so
There you
it's
go.
it's always readily accessible.
Yeah, there you go. And I like that concept too, because I think, personally, my notebook, if I open that up to look back at the progress, there's like a 50-50 chance I turn to a page where I was super happy with this set, or, oh my gosh, like I almost got out of the set about 4 times. I was so mad and I hated it. I think the sort of concentrated positivity of the jar has a lot of value. So that's the super cool tidbit you were able to share there.
No, thank you. Yeah, I really like the idea of the notebook too. I love seeing the progression that you guys are able to make. It's always good to see where you start and where you finish. So that's just one way to keep track of that.
Yeah, definitely. So, on to our next question, I'm going to kind of build off the last one. It's kind of in the same vein, but um, what kind of strategies do you use when you're kind of going through a rough stretch in practice, or maybe you're having an off week or an off day and it's just kind of not there? What do you kind of do to help push yourself through that and maintain a positive and focused mindset?
Sure, I'd love to orient myself and I love to take a step back and look at the big picture. We're all allowed to have our off days, and sometimes we have a few more off days in a week than other weeks. But knowing that I'm having an off week will only allow me to highlight when I'm having a good week, right? The contrast becomes even greater. I appreciate the good times even more. When I am having an off day, though, I love to talk to my coach and tell him that I'm having a pretty off day and ask him if I can kind of stretch out a bit and begin to feel the water a bit more. A lot of the times when I'm having an off practice, it's because I'm not warmed up properly or I'm not feeling the water as well. And so he usually lets me uh, feel out the water and take a few minutes and then get right back into the set. And I feel so much better. Of course, that's not always the immediate fix. Sometimes it's sleep. Sometimes it's something that I've eaten or I'm not eating enough. So it could just be a number of things, but checking off the boxes one by one to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to the best of my ability um, is one way that I like to keep myself grounded and come back to reality and say, hey, if I'm doing the best I can with the resources that I've been given, that's all I can ask of myself. And that kind of helps me reorient my focus.
Yeah, no, I love
Awesome.
those points. Those are great ideas. I mean, obviously you want to make sure you're in physical condition, good physical condition to make sure you're, performing well. But for me, I personally want to know like, hey, like let's say like this happens to a lot of us. I'm sure we've all been here, but sometimes I go into a meet and it's just not what I expected. I underperform based on what I had in mind for myself. How do you, is there any way you reorient yourself from a bad swim and a meet like very quickly to the next one? Do you have any tips and tricks for that? Because that's a huge hurdle that, as swimmers, we all need to figure a way over.
Yeah. The first thing I think to myself is, hey, each race is different. That race is done. I get to focus on the next one. So we can't change what's already happened, but we can look to improve how we perform in the future. And when I get off a bad swim, talk to my friends about it. They give me a few pointers. I'm really grateful to have a supportive friend group here on campus and within the team. They always really have my back, and they're always there to chat whenever I'm down. So I usually go to them, and then we'll start warming up, or I'll start warming up for the next race, or I'll warm down from the previous race. Right, swimming things off and really finding comfort in warming down or getting the race and flushing everything out of my system has always helped me reorient myself to the next swim.
No, I love that advice. That's actually in line with what I was drilled into me at Dynamo, my swim club in high school. Our coaches would always tell us, no matter what happens, the most important race is the next one. You should always just reorient yourself to whatever's coming next. You have enough time after the meet to reflect on everything you've done. And I think what you said is just something I completely agree with.
Now your coach gives good advice. Do you guys have a big warm down culture on your team, or do a team warm down or individual warm downs, or just ways to like flush everything out of your system, or is it just we're done?
So yeah, I mean, for some people it's a little bit more like we're done. I know me personally, this is something my club coach just drilled into me. I'll do, if I swim like a 200 of anything, I will do at least an 800 warm down in between events. Even for hundreds, I'll do like maybe a 5 or 6 at a minimum. I mean, I'm kind of just one of those people who does maybe a little too much warm down, but there's nothing really standardized across the team, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm very much of like play by ear type of person. Like my warm up and warm down primarily consists on how I'm feeling in the moment, right? Like I'll hop in the pool, do my warm up, and then I'll go like, hey, like I feel like I need to work more on my pull or my kick, and then I'll adjust it based on that. I'm not very rigid in terms of like, my meet prep. And if I warm down, I warm down until I feel good, I suppose. So it's not really we don't get together and warm down. We kind of do our own thing. But I feel like, everyone's different. So there's always, there's a benefit to this approach, but pros and cons, right? So rolling right on in, how do you feel Division III differs from other divisions? Like obviously, like we've said this before, like you could have very well stacked up to like a mid-major D1 school. But is there a particular reason why you might prefer Division III over other divisions based on differences?
Yeah, so I love the work-life balance of Division III. I think that, well, in Division I, a lot of the time you're swimming, and that's a lot of the thing that you're focused on outside of the pool, even during your day. Your class schedule might be built around swimming, or your social life might be built around swimming. It's not to say in D3 you can't have that, but I think in Division III it offers a different kind of balance that sets you up very well for your future. A lot of the UAA schools, especially, the UAA is made up of a lot of research institutions, and so they pride themselves on having high academic standards and achievements while also maintaining like the highest quality of athletic competition in Division III. And I think they do a very good job of meeting that agenda. And I think coming to CMU and being exposed to the academic rigors as well as the challenges that swimming may possess, I think I've discovered a very wonderful balance between swimming and school. And I don't know if that's as achievable in Division I or Division II, where swimming is more of a focus in your life. I'm able to do other things outside of swimming. I had this student athlete mental health and wellness group on campus called the Pladvocates. It's a UAA DEIB group, and it composes of kids across all teams on campus, and we're here as resources for our peers. You guys might have something similar. I know all schools have SAC. We're like a parallel to SAC, and I don't know if I'd have time for these things if I'd been a Division I swimmer or Division II swimmer. So I'm really glad I got to dip my feet in the water with different things outside of swimming. I've met a lot of cool people, and I've made a lot of new friends because of it.
I think
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Go
I think
ahead, Jane. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer and a really a good advertisement for D3 as well. You talked a little bit about sort of what what you spend your time on outside of the pool. Talked a little bit about your major and that organization that you're involved with. Just super curious, just to give everybody a little bit more context. Like, do you want to talk about like outside of the pool, your passions, interests, and really more specifically, like how do you see your experiences right now with swimming influencing like your personal and professional future?
Yeah, sure. So outside of swimming, I'm involved in the Plow Advocates. That's also a student athlete group sponsored by the university. We put on events for kids around the school and partner with other DEIB groups to improve the quality of life for student athletes on campus. Recently, we hosted a mental health summit to bring up the stressors of being a student athlete to administrators in the university, deans of all the colleges, coaches, trainers, and it was a platform for students to share their experiences and how coaches and other staff members can improve their quality of life here and their time here at CMU. It's just like changing the little things, like, hey, asking your kid, how are you doing today, or is there anything I can help you with? Those two small questions go a very long way for your athletes and for anyone really, because it shows that you're caring about them and it shows that you're there to support them. So we're trying to build and change the culture here on campus, um, as well as hopefully one day, fingers crossed, provide priority registration to student athletes. That's another project we've been working on for a little bit. Um, in addition to the Plow Advocates, I am the secretary for my fraternity. I'm a member of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity here on campus. I basically run a lot of the things in the back end, right? If there's an event going on, I'm helping organize that or meeting with the university. In addition to that, the other thing I run is a gravity racing team here on campus. We have a 100-year-old tradition called Buggy at CMU. It's you build a little carbon fiber tube, you shove a person in it, and then you push them around a course that's 0.8 miles long. And I run a team of about 50 individuals, and we're out there on Saturday and Sunday mornings from 4:30 in the morning till about 9:30 in the morning practicing. Um, it's actually really cool. I encourage you to check it out after this. But you meet a lot of unique people, learn a lot of different things. We have an engineering team as well as an administrative team and a push team. So the push team are like the athletes that physically move the buggy around the course, but our engineers are the people that really work the magic. They choose wheels, create foils, and essentially allow us to mechanically be the best on the course. And then I'm also involved in swimming, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, I certainly can't see yourself managing this kind of plethora of activities if you were in, tied down by the D1, time commitment. This is amazing stuff to hear. Always looking to hear, like, there's a lot of talk about Division One this, Division One that. Let's talk about Division 3, right? There's so much stuff we're all doing, and I honestly at this point I don't feel like we're competitively that much far off, right? There's definitely a lot of people here in our division who can definitely stack up to the competition we see in higher divisions.
Oh yeah, Derek Moss especially.
Yeah, no.
Hot topic in Division 3.
I'm sure you're gonna have a word with him come UAA.
I hope if you guys get him on here, that would be great.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Derek, if you're listening, we want to talk to him. That's that's somebody we would certainly want to hear from.
That's awesome though. We'll have Peter link up on the screen once he edits this out. We'll link up video of that racing that you do. That's super cool and definitely gonna have to check that out. But yeah, we appreciate the context. I think that helps everyone get a better idea of who you are, as a person and not just necessarily a swimmer. So thank you.
All right, guys, I found the buggy race. I'm going to show some snippets right here, but I'm also going to link the full video by Carnegie Mellon University down in the description of this video, so please check it out. This looks hella interesting. I would love to be in person, but I mean, obviously I got school here, so I can't, but very, very cool stuff.
You don't go anywhere else, any other school, and find something like this. You put a small person into this really fast tube, and then you push them around hills.
The best way I can describe it is like if you're in a roller coaster and you're driving it yourself.
For sure, yeah, it's always good to highlight, the balance that you can achieve in D3 swimming. It is possible to do other things outside of swimming here.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And it sounds like you're, leaving a great legacy on campus, for yourself and being a part of like all these great organizations at Carnegie. And, but back to the swimming aspect, obviously, what do you really think, you want to get out of your last couple years here at Carnegie? What do you want to leave behind, whether it's on the team, on campus, whatever, or even in the wider scope of swimming? What is your swim career going to mean to you when it's all said and done? And, if applicable, you want to throw in any like relevant stories or things that you've learned during your time at CMU, we'd love to hear about it.
Sure, yeah. Oh, as always, the short-term goal is to make NCAAs. I've yet to qualify for that actually, so I've yet to go too. So hopefully this year I'm gunning for it. That's always a short-term goal though. The long-term goal would kind of give it my all, make the most of every opportunity that I have here, and to leave a lasting impression on my teammates and the people that I race with. Dick from the UAA, I think he's the vice president. He was talking about how to compete. It's not against your opponent, but it's with your opponent to make you both individuals better. And I'm hoping that by racing other people and meeting other people, I'd be able to really reach out and impact them in a positive way, whether it be how I conduct myself during a meet, or how I can be there to support another person during a rough time, because I could go as fast as I want, or I could go and break some records, but I don't think people are going to remember that in the long run, or someone else is going to come along and break that record. But what people will remember is how I made them feel and how I supported them through something. So I told Kevin Hugh this: I'm not going to be remembered by what I do, but I'm going to be remembered by how I make someone feel. So hope to really embody that. Yeah, hope to really embody that every time I go out there and compete and represent CMU. Hoping to make a positive impact in and out of the pool to as many people as I can.
No, I certainly agree.
I agree as well, Peter. I think that's obviously a great mentality to have. And, people can, like you said, take records and things away from you. And, maybe in a few years, except for on your resume, nobody will remember you were an All-American, but they'll certainly remember who you were as a person. And I think that, you definitely embody the spirit of Division III competition. And, it was obviously great chatting with you this weekend and, on the podcast here. So far, I'd say you're living up to that ideal. So.
Oh, thank you guys. It's always fun to see you guys. So
yeah, likewise.
Racing in and out of the pool. Yeah.
Just before we end it off, do you have any shout outs or like messages you want to give for your teammates, your coaches, the listeners, any upcoming goals you want to promote? Feel free to let it all out now.
Shout out to Savannah Zhu. She's always swimming fast, and she's always setting the bar really high. To Santiago Gomez for always pushing me in practice and letting me know that I got to keep my chin up. To Jonathan Lindstrom, he's not a swimmer, he's a diver. He's always watching and he's always supporting me. So thankful for him. And shout out to my coach and my teammates for all the work that they've put in and for all the progress that they've made so far. The job's not done. We're just getting started, and looking forward to seeing how far we go this year.
Yeah, and I think I speak for all of us when we say we're looking forward to seeing it too, and we're looking forward to seeing you and your whole team back at the Kenyon Total Performance meet in a couple weeks here. And yeah, absolutely, shout out Matt Kinney. I think he's doing great things, and he's always, an awesome presence to have on deck, a fantastic guy. And, I think that what you said about your teammates, those are some great relationships that you're going to have going forward. And yeah, shout out Savannah Zhu for getting like her fourth mention in a row on this podcast. She seems to come up in our discussion of Division III swimming every week.
She's someone to talk about. So
dare I say, it's someone to keep on your radar.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely, Peter.
All right. Well, I think that sort of wraps everything up on our end, unless you have any final points, comments from you, Christian.
No, guys, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this. It was a pleasure to come on, and I look forward to seeing you guys at Kenyon.
Yeah, and it was a pleasure having you, man. It was awesome talking to you, and I think you gave us and our listeners both some great insight about the sport of swimming, your approach, and sort of the state of Division III in general. I think that this is something that's going to be great to get the word out there about what D3 swimming means to us, and how it can be sort of leveraged by people that might want to continue their swimming careers, and at the collegiate level. So I think that this has been a great discussion.
Yeah, thank you.
With that being said, if our listeners want to see anyone else, on the podcast, feel free to, give us send us a DM. And with that being said, this has been the Anchor Leg Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.